Okay. So far we in our repo here. Oh, where is my repo? It's here. For this week, as I told you, we'll do some array method. Also, we do some testing with jest. I'm gonna go quickly through everything here. No, not everything. Some concept we did not explain. We'll keep it for next week, but some of them we will explain. For testing, so for testing, I have a simple example here. I just want to focus on one part. So as you can see, that's the same function we used yesterday or before yesterday, to reverse a string. So what parameter is taken? It's taken str, which is a string, the string to reverse, sorry. And here, what you can do also, you can see it's equal to empty string like that. That's what we call the default value or the default parameter, because the default parameter here is equal to empty string. That means when the user passes nothing, by default str, it will be an empty string. So what I'm doing here, I'm checking if type of str is not a string. I'm throwing new type error, and type error, that means type of data is not what I'm expecting. I wanted a string, but whatever here, the str was not strings, was number or something else. And if that's the case, it will throw a new error. But if the type is string, then I'm gonna split it, and you already know what split. So split, it will convert a string to, it will convert the string to an array. So dot split. And in split, I need to pass a delimiter. That means I want to split by what? In our case, I want to split each character, so I will pass an empty string. And of course, if I click on this one, as you can see, it will split it to, or it will convert it to array, as you can see. Each character, it will be separated. Of course,
sorry.
yes.
Sorry, if we put instead of empty string something else, also other options for.
Yes, of course. For example, let's create here. For example, let's say Sam and put comma, and here put comma, and here let's split by comma. So it will just split it, as you can see. No, I need to put it inside a string. Click it, comma, and as you can see, it will just do the same job here. As you can see, SAM. The delimiter can be anything, but it should be something exist in my string. But now here in my string here, nothing exists. That's why I'm using an empty string. That means it will separate each character. But if I have some delimiters, there's a delimiter here, is it comma or dash or whatever you want to. If that's the case here, it will split it by this delimiter. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So first, let me go to the previous one. I want to split it. If I split it, as you can see, I will have an array. An array has one of the method on array. It's built in, and that means JavaScript already has this method. I don't need to do anything. It's called reverse. So if I say reverse like that, and a reverse, of course, it's a method, as you can see, and I can chain multiple method. We studied that before, split. And then I say dot reverse, it will reverse my array. Now, if I click on this one, as you can see, before it was SAM, now it will be MAS. So reverse do nothing, it will just reverse the order of, reverse the item in my array. The last one, it will be the first one, and so on, and so on, and so on, and that's what's going on. But of course, after I reverse it here, I need to make it string again, because what I want here, really, I want to return a string. So in order to convert an array to a string, I can use the same method, but here I just say dot join. And join like split also, I need to join by delimiter here. I can join by anything I want to, but in my case, what I want just a string. So I'm going to join also by empty string. You can join by dashes, comma, if you want to. But in my case, I want it to be the same string. I want to be just like that, but I will reverse it. If I click like this one, as you can see, Sam, now it becomes mass. Is the idea clear? Yes? No.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. Let's go through some tests here. And of course, for testing, as I explained how to do everything. But here now we will just focus on the test. So you already know all of that. Let me just do click plus. So I'm going to put a describe. I told you describe, it's just a suite. It's just like I'm putting all my tests, as you can see, inside one suite. So it's just a suite here. Describe, take two parameters. The first parameter, it will be what my function doing, reverse a string like that, I can see. So what my function doing here is just reversing a string. And now here I can put all my tests, as you can see, inside this suite, which is describe. Now, if I go to test number one here, test, should reverse a string with character in lowercase. What do I mean by that? So if I pass hello to my function here, as you can see, so here I'm calling my function, I'm passing hello, and of course it will give me the result. And the result should be OLLAH. As you can see, I put the result here, and of course it should be equal. Is the idea clear here? Of course, I can put the function directly here, or I can just call my function and it will give me to return something, of course. If it is string, it will return something. I'm saving it in variable and I just pass the variable. So it will be the same value here. Is the idea clear? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it's the same idea here, reverse string, and now I'm doing it with word. Of course, if it's with word, I'm expecting it to be D, L, R, O, H, if my string working correctly, or if my function is working correctly, which is a reverse string. Here now I'm trying with, that's not a number, as you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a string. So of course it is a string, so it will still work, and I'm expecting it to give me 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So as you can see, testing is not really difficult. Just need to copy this one and duplicate it. That's it. And then I will pass different value. Okay, let's remove this one here. So if I pass an empty string, what do you think it will happen? Well, if I pass empty string, it will give me again the empty string. Because if I reverse the empty string, it will be just simply an empty string. Here, if I pass A, it will be, of course, A because I have just one character. So if I reverse A or not reverse it will be the same. Now, a small note when it comes to error. What do I mean by that? So when I'm trying to throw a new error here, as you can see, it's type error. Why type error? Because the type of data, we have a lot of type of error. One of them is called type error, and type error means that the type of str we are passing is not a string. And here I'm throwing a new error. Now, in case of error, I cannot pass my function just directly and call it, because if I pass my function just like that, what will happen? My function will be executed immediately, but I don't want to be executed because I want to be executed only when there is an error. Now here in this case, I want my function to be executed immediately because I want to reverse just this string. But in case of error, I don't want my function to be executed. If I leave it this way, it will be executed immediately because I'm calling the function here. But I don't want to execute it. I only want to execute it if type of data I am passing is not a number. I'm sorry, it's not a string. So remember this one. For when you try to throw an error, you need to pass your function inside another function. And actually, that's what I am doing. So I'm passing an arrow function, as you can see. Yeah, just parenthesis, an arrow. And then I'm calling my function inside this arrow function simply. And that means this function, it will throw or it will run only if I have an error. Is the idea clear? For all, most of framework is like that, including Jest. So again, when we are testing for error, remember, you cannot call the function like the rest here is a normal testing. You need to call your function. So you need to put parentheses, an arrow here, because actually that's an arrow function. So I need to put my function inside another arrow function. Why? Because I don't want this function to be executed. If I leave it here just like that, it will immediately be executed. That's not what I want to. What I want it to be executed only if I have an error. Same, of course, here. Is the idea clear here?
Yes.
Not really.
Yes, no?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. So now let's try to do this way here. And let's now call our function. That's the normal how we do tests, right? We're just calling our function. Just like those, we are calling our function directly, right? Daria, we are just calling our function directly.
Yes. Yes.
Now, what will happen if I run my test? See, I will not pass this one. Why? Because here, the error, when I'm trying to throw an error, it happened immediately. I don't want it to happen immediately. Now, in this case, I want to just reverse the string. But here, when I'm throwing error, I don't want it to happen just like that. I want to happen only in one case when there is an error. But now, because I'm calling this function here, so even if there is no error, it will run here. Even if there is no error, this function, it will run no matter what. So how can I solve this problem? Well, to solve this problem, just documentation telling you, you need to pass another function. So I will pass a function, create a function, arrow function like that. I can put the body of the function, and I call my function inside another function. That's it. But because it's an arrow function, I don't need parentheses here. I'm sorry, I don't need curly brace. Why? Because it's one line, so I can just pass it this way. And now if I run my test, notice what will happen. So let's do it for this one as well. Now here, if I run, I will pass my test, as you can see.
Yeah, but why do we need two lines? So 52 and 53. So if we caught an error, for example, like type error, one is enough. Why do we need another one?
Because we are testing two cases. Let me make it simple. Let me make it simpler. So I'm gonna duplicate this test. Voila. I'm gonna remove this one. And I'm gonna remove this one, and now it should be clear, right? So it's two tests actually, not one test. But you can add multiple tests if you want to inside tests, so multiple expect if you want to. But then for now it's fine.
Yeah, it's shortcut.
Yes, you can, because they are related. Both of them throw an arrow, so they are related to each other. That's why I put them inside one. But of course, you can separate them if you want to. It's fine. Is the idea clear here?
Yeah.
Okay, and for throw an error, either you can put just the type of the error. So what type of error? What is the error? Type error. Or you can put the message you are passing. So here, as you can see, the message str must be a string. Str must be a string. You can do whatever you want to. Either the type error like that, or the message you are throwing. But the most important thing when you are trying to test an error, when throw an error, you cannot call your function directly. You need to call it inside another function. You need to parentheses an arrow and then call your function. Is the idea clear? Yes, no. And voila. I think testing in general now should be a little bit clear if I am not mistaken. Yes? No.
Yes.
Perfect. Finally. Okay, now after we've just seen a little bit testing, of course, testing, you still have 2 weeks to practice more and more. But I think the general idea of testing it be clear because we explained it multiple times. You don't have any edge cases for now. Just you need to remember when you throw an error, you cannot call your function directly. All you have to do, just you need to put parentheses. You need to put it inside another arrow function. That's it. That's the only exception here. Other than that, everything should be clear. Let's go to the other one, testing. Voila. Let's refresh this one. And let's try to go to main.js. So as you know, we already studied an array. Can anyone tell me what is an array?
It's an object.
Yes, it's an object, but it's just a list. It's a list. Do you know what is a list? So list, it's just to create an array in JavaScript. We use square bracket, as you can see, square bracket, and we have a lot of different item or value. We call them item, array item. They are separated by comma. But there is something very important here. What you need to understand that the array is order list. What do I mean by order? That means the order does matter. The order is important. Because if I'm trying to access, for example, 1, I can use a number bracket 0. So I can access it using the index. Because I can access it using the index, that means the order does matter. It is important, the order. But for object, we will see later, the order does not matter. Is the idea clear? So let me create an object. For example, I can say const person is equal to object. I can say here like that, name and age. But if now what I can do also, I can put the age first and the name last. It doesn't matter. That's why we call the object an order list. So the order does not matter. As the most important thing, I have a property because they are key value. So if I put this one first or this one first, it doesn't matter. So the order in the object does not matter, but in array, it does matter because we can access it using the indexes. Is the idea clear or not? Yes, no?
Yeah.
So again, what is an array? Or simply an array is an order list. So an array is an order, collection or an order, or
Array is a collection of objects.
Yeah, but here we have primitive. So what you can say to make it simple, it just are orderless. That's it. It doesn't matter. When I say orderless, it could include anything. It could be an object, it could be number, it could be string, it could be null, it could be boolean, whatever you want to. But what's important for me, an array is orderless. It's just the order does matter. That's what's important. Is the idea clear? Yeah? No? Hello?
Yes.
Samir,
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean ordered list? You cannot randomly put numbers or like
No, when I
you
mean
make it 2,
order,
1, 5, 8.
when I say orderless, that mean if I want to access the first item, I need to say number bracket 0, and it will give me 1. If I try to access the second item here, I need to use index 1 and then index 2. That's what I mean the order does matter. So the order here is important. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, this order. If I created another array which 2 come first and then 1 come first, it will not be the same. The order does matter. That means the position here is important because I can access my array using the indexes.
Okay.
It's just like a string. It's the same idea. The order does matter. But with object, it doesn't matter. I can put the first property last or the last. It doesn't matter. Okay?
Okay.
Clear? Okay,
Yes, thank you.
so yeah. So to make it very simple, what is an array? An array is orderless, simple. That means the order does matter in the array. Now, as you know, an array has a lot of method. We've seen some of them. So most of them actually we don't use a lot. So I don't think we use it a lot. We use filter a lot. Find, yes. Map, reduce sometime. For each, yes, we use it. Sort, we use it. Reverse, we've seen it now with the string. Concat, sometime we use it. Slice and splice, sometime we use it. So what the hell is every? So all the time you are not sure about any array method, you can just go to the documentation, and if you click on this one here and search for every, click on here, it will tell you what every is doing. So what is every? An every is a method of the array. It returns a Boolean. So as you can see, it returns a Boolean value. What do I mean by that? Well, what every is doing, it will check. So every is higher order function, as you know. So it will take a callback, as you can see. It will take a parameter, it's callback. So you need to pass a function. And if inside your function, you will pass something here, a condition or something. If every item inside my array passes this check or this condition, as a result here, it will return true. If even one of them did not pass this condition, it will be false. Is the idea clear? Yes? No?
Yes, okay.
Yes, because we
Yes.
studied yesterday, huh?
Yeah.
So what it return, either true or false. Okay, let's try take an example here. Remember all the time, you don't have to remember all array method, but you need to understand that every here, you can check every item inside your array to see if they are passing a condition or not. And in order to do that, we can use every. Now I know every, it will return me a Boolean, right? So I can say, for example, what is the name of my array? It's called numbers. So I can just say numbers dot every. And as we know, every is higher order functions. That means it take a function as a parameter, right? So now I have two options. Either I can create a function and then pass it here, or I can directly pass my function here. Now, when I say every, it will check every item inside my array, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, how can I work? I can create an arrow function because arrow function, it will be shorter. So here, I need to pass my array, my function. So my function here, I'm saying it will take a number as a parameter. And then what is the condition I'm trying to test? Well, I'm trying to test if my number is greater than 0, for example, if num is greater than 0. And of course, if I do so, as you can see, so num here, the first time it will be 1. The second time it will be 2. The third time it's just like a loop. So whatever it's doing here, it will loop through all these items until it find one item does not pass the condition. So for example, let's say 5 does not pass the condition. Then it will stop. It will not check the rest. Why? because every item need to pass this condition. If one of them, if JavaScript is smart, if it finds that one of them did not pass the condition, it will not care about the rest. Why? Because simply there is one item does not pass the condition, so the result it will be false no matter what. Is the idea clear? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Now what I can do, I know this function here, it will return me a Boolean, right? Either true or false, so I can save it in a variable. So I can come here and I can simply say const result, for example. Result, it's equal to blah, blah, blah. And I am doing it this way. Why? Because I want to log the result. Result, of course, it will be true. And now if I go to my script, where is my script? It should be this one. If I refresh this one and now try to run my code, of course, it will give me true. Run true. Why true? Let's actually debug it and see. Click. So what's the reason why it's giving me true? So if I click on it, as you can see here in my scope here, I have numbers. I have two variables because I have numbers and I have the result. So I have numbers still does not have any value because I did not execute the code yet. This line is not being executed, and result also has no value. So if I click on it, of course, my numbers here show my array. And now what will happen with every, it's just like a loop. It will now take the first item. So num, it will be 1 the first time. Then it will check it if it's greater than 0 or not. So click. And as you can see, item is 1. Okay. So item is 1. That means it will take the first item here, which is 1. And it will check the condition. Is 1 greater than 0? Of course, yes. So the result is true. And now it will return, as you can see, true. Then it will check the second item. Second item is 2. Same idea. It will check true. Blah, blah, blah. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It will check all of them. And all of them return true. And then the result here, it will be simply true, as you can see. But what will happen if I try to change my function here? I want it to be, I want a num to be greater than, maybe I want a num to be less than 3, for example. Of course, not all my item in the array, not all my number are less than 3. 1 is less than 3, yes. 2 is less than 3, but 3 is not less than 3. If I want to include, I can include 3 as well, and I can say, for example, is less or equal to 3. Now it will take 3 as well. So this one will pass, this one will pass, this one will pass, and after that, when you try to do it with 4, of course, 4 is not less or equal to 3, and then it will stop. So let's see this condition as well. Let's see the example. Click, let's debug, and let's click. So click, same idea. Now it will try it, of course, with 1, as you can see. If I click it, now, of course, it will return true. Why? Because 1 is less than 3. It will try it with 2. Of course, it will pass as well. It will return true. So why? Because 2 is less than 3. If we try it with 3, 3 is equal to 3. So it will pass as well. And it will return true. But now it will become 4. Notice what will happen. So 4 is not less or equal to 3. So it will return false. Click. And now here it will not check the other item. Why? Because I have one value which is false. So it will return directly, as you can see. If I click, voila, as you can see. And now it will return me false. I think every should be very clear if I'm not mistaken. Yes?
Every school.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Is it clear for everyone, guys?
Yes.
For me, well,
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. You can still hear me, right?
Bien.
Perfect. Okay, now we study every, that's fine, that's nice. We know every, what it does it return. So let's go to sum. Notice that every and sum, they are very similar, but every here, that means every item inside my array need to pass the condition. Some of them, even one of them, if it's passed, it will return true. So every, it means every item. Some, even if one of them pass, that's fine, it will return true. But if none of them pass the condition, then it will return false. Let's do the same idea here. So I can just say const result. It will be the same idea exactly. It's also higher order function. I can just say numbers, sum, and as you can see, I'm passing here an arrow function num. I want the num to be greater than, let's say, greater than, I want a num to be greater than 2, for example. Or no, maybe less than 2. Now, less than 2 here, what do you think? It will return me true or false? Can anyone tell me what it will return and why?
True,
Why?
because we need just one to be true. And
Indeed, because one item passed the condition. I want my number to be less than 2, and we have 1, which is less than 2. So one item passed the condition, so it will return me true. But what if I want to be, let's say, I want a number here, I want all my number, for example, I want them to be greater than 20. Are all my number greater than 20?
False.
No,
It will
false.
false because
False.
none of them is greater than 20. So here it will give me false. So some and every they are quite similar. Actually, they're kind of cat don't do that. It's kind of the opposite little bit. So that means every item in the array need to pass a condition. But some even if one of them in some pass the condition, it will give me true. Other than that, it will give me false. Okay. Is that clear? Of course, now we will debug it. We will see it. Don't do that, boy. No. Papa is busy. Okay, let's try to do this one and see. Cat. Okay, let's debug our code. Voila. Remember, and some and every both of them are return a Boolean. So let's click on this one. Of course, it will just put my numbers here in my numbers array in the memory here or in the scope. Aye. Just give me a second, guys. Okay. So now let's click. It will check 1. And of course, 1 here, it will not be greater than, actually here is not greater than 20. So it will return false. And false for 2, 3, 4, all of them false. It will check all of them. And as a result here, it will return simply false, as you can see. But if I try to change the condition a little bit, and for example, I want it to be I want a num to be less than 2, for example. Of course, now here it will give me true. Why? Because I have one item, which is 1 inside my array, which is less than 2. And now here, if I go and run my code, as you can see, run, well, it give me true. Is the difference between every and some is clear or not? Yes, no.
yes,
Okay. Voila, and that's some. Okay, we have filter. Filter, you know what is filter? If you try to filter something, imagine it this way. If you filter something, that means probably you will not have all the stuff. Maybe if all of them pass, so if what filter is doing here, it will check the condition with this one. If this one passes the condition, it will keep it. If it does not pass the condition, it will remove it. Same idea, same idea. Now, what do I want to do? I want to filter here. I want to only to keep the even number. You know what's the even number? The even number is 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Or I want to filter only for odd number. I want 1, 3, 5, whatever I want to. So how can I do that? Well, remember filter again. If you don't know what filter is doing, you can all the time go to the documentation and find filter. Where is filter, filter? Voila. And here, there is an important thing here. So what does it return? It returns a shallow copy of given array. A shallow copy does mean it will give you just another array, simply like that. Don't worry about shallow and deep copy. I will explain it later when we study side effect. But it just make a copy of the array and only keeps the items that pass the condition. Okay. Filter also it's higher order method or a function. That means I need to pass a function as a parameter. And because I know filter, it return a new array, I can directly save it in a variable if I want to. So I can just say const result, it's equal to numbers dot filter. And as you know, filter, of course, I told you, it's higher order method or function. Here, I need to pass a function as a parameter. So I need to pass here, I need to name it something. Of course, those are numbers. A single of them, I can name it number, or I can just name it num. And here, what do I want? What's the condition I want to check? Well, I want to check if all of them are odd, for example. Now here, if it's equal to 0, That means if modulus, if any number modulus 2 is equal 0, that means it will be even. But I don't want the even number. If it's strictly not equal to 0, now it will give me the odd number. If I log now the result, it should give me one, of course, an array of 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So let's go and test it. Which one it was? It was here. So let's refresh this one and let's debug directly. Cool. Same idea, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on that. So what will happen here, it will now, if I click execute the first number, which is 1, it will see 1 modulus 2. So does 1 modulus 2 here, it's equal to 0? No, it does not equal to 0, it's equal to 1 actually. So it will keep it. Then it will go to the second number. 2 modulus 2, it's not equal to 0. Actually, it's equal to 0. So it will not keep it. It will remove it. False, as you can see. Now it will try with 3. And 3 modulus 2, of course, it's 1. So it will keep it. You understand what I'm saying, right? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as you can see here, the number is 3 modulus 2. So if how many 2 inside 3? We have 1 and the rest is 1. So as you can see here, here it returns true. It will keep it. It passes the condition because this one here is not equal to 0 strictly. So it will keep it and it will check all the number here. If the number passes the condition, it will keep it. If the number does not pass the condition, it will remove it. And at the end, let's go a little bit quickly. And here at the end, as you can see, I have a new array, which is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Only the item, it keep only the items that pass the condition. Is the idea clear?
Yeah.
That's simply what filter is doing. Filter is quite important. We use it a lot. Let me just click on this one. Click on this one. Voila. So that's simply filter. Yeah, let me remove this one. We don't need it anymore. Now we have also something called find. So what find is doing here, it will look through each, well, not really each item inside my array. It will go through the first item. It will check it. If it's matched the condition, it will return this item. So what find is doing here, find return one item in the array. So it will return here the item. It will not return an array. It will just return me the item. And if you are not sure about that, you can again go to the documentation and search for find. And here, find, what find is doing, it returns the first element that pass the condition. So here, what find is doing, it does not return an array, it returns an item, an element, whatever it is. In my case, it's number, so it will return, if 1 pass the condition, it will return me 1. If 2 pass the condition, it will return me 2. But the most important thing, it will return me the first match. For example, if I say, find me the even number, it will not return for me 2, 4, 6, and 8. No, it will only return the first one match the condition. So let's see. So const, I know find return an item, right? So it does not return an array. I can save it in a variable and I can say just the numbers dot find. And here I can just, for example, I pass here the even and odd. So if I want the first even number, so I can modulus 2 strictly equal to 0. So what I want here, my condition here is I want an even number. But remember, I don't have one even number. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what find is doing here, it will not care about that. It will check 1 first. If 1 pass the condition 1, it will return it. If it does not pass, it will check 2. 2 pass the condition, it will return me 2. Voila. So it returns the first item that find that pass the condition. Is the idea clear? So if I log this one, of course, it will give me 2.
Is it
Yes.
widespread method?
Is it what?
Is it widespread method?
Yes, yes. Find a lot because sometimes we need to find something in our array. So we need to find the first match. So yes, actually, we use it a lot.
Okay.
Clicky, but all the time for this method, you don't need to remember everything. You need to know what each method is returning. For example, here, if I say filter, I know filter return an array with all the item pass the condition. If you tell me, for example, every or some, I know both of them return a Boolean. Okay. And here, of course, I know it's every from the names. That means every item need to pass the condition. Some that mean even one item doesn't have to be every, just one, it should be enough. And find is actually we use it a lot, so be careful with that. Find here, it will return me, remember that, the first item match or pass the condition. And if I go here now, refresh, try to run, and no, that's not what I'm trying to run, sorry. If I refresh it and try to run my code, and I go to the console, and it give me 2, as you can see. Let's debug it. So what will happen here? Let's click. So what will happen here first? Of course, it will take the first item and it will check if the number modulus 2 is strictly equal to 0. That means if it's even or not. So if I click on that, it will take 1, and of course it will return false because 1 modulus 2, it does not give me 0. And now it will go with 2. 2 modulus 2, of course, it's 0. And now notice what will happen. It will not check for the item, the rest of the item. Voila. Just returns the first item that matches the condition. It doesn't return an array. Notice that, fine. What finally return is the first item past the condition. Is the idea clear? Perfect. And of course, if you forgot at any point, you can go back to the documentation. The documentation provide an example with a lot of stuff here. Voila, voila, voila. So what is telling you here, it returns the first element or item that provides the array satisfaction. That means it passes the condition I am passing. Okay, let's do this one. Map, we already seen it. What map is doing here, it will take your array. Just a second, guys. Okay, what map will doing, it will just take your array and it will transform it to something else according to your condition. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say I want to take my array here and I want to transform this number, all of them, for example, to string. Can I convert all of them to string? Is it possible or not?
Yes.
Well, of course, yes. Now I will take each number here and I will transform it to string. So it will give me also an array with the same lengths exactly. So map, it give me an array with the same lengths, but the items, they will be transformed according to my condition. If I go to and look for map here, where is map, voila. I click on map. So the map create a new array populated with the result of calling a provided function. What is that supposed to mean? For example, in this example, I'm trying to multiply each number by 2. So 1 here, it will multiply by 2, 4 multiply by 2, 9 multiply by 2, and 16 multiply by 2. But in my example, what I want to do here, I want to convert each number here into array. So how can I do it? Well, it's fine. I know map return an array. So I can just save it in a variable directly. So I will just say result. It's equal to numbers dot map, and map is higher order function or method. That means I need to pass a function as a parameter. Okay, these are numbers. So single one of them, it will be number. So I will just use num. And now what do I want to return? Well, I want to return. How can I convert a string to a number to string? I can use the string method, and voila. So I can use string and I can push my num here. And now what will happen? Map, it will go through each item here. It will take the number, it will convert it to string number, and then it will return it. So it will give me the same array, but all of those, they will be converted to number. So map, it's just like a loop. It will go through each item inside the array, all of them. And now if I log the result, it will give me something like that. So now let's go here, refresh, and see the result. Click it, run, and as you can see. Is it clear?
Yes, but for this operation, we also can use a split to convert
Yeah.
to array.
Yes, you can do that. But the idea here, when you can convert it to a number, and after there is multiple way to do it. It's just I'm trying to explain now what different method array has, because map actually it's useful. We use it for a lot of stuff. We don't use it just for this is just an example. Now I told you before, when we study asynchronous programming, we will learn how to send a request to the backend to get data, and most of the time our data, it will be array of object, and sometimes we have a lot of data in our object. And map will help me to map through this object because it's array of object. And after that, maybe return only the property I am interested in. Okay, Daria?
Yeah, but the most difficult part, what I noticed, how to sync in advance. For example, when you build some function or project, how to sync in advance, which option better to use in this point of time.
But it's, you know, there is no a single answer to your question. It's really come with the experience. So the more you do, first time maybe you try it with something, other time you do it with something. And we will learn that actually in behavior strategy implementation, the
Okay.
next module. Why? Because now you will see in JavaScript, as I told you, we don't have one solution for a problem. Sometimes we have 3 or more solutions. And here you need to decide which solution is better.
So it's,
Which
it will come with experience, only with experience, yes.
with experience, yes. And we have some tools actually. So in behavior strategy implementation, we use something called console.time. And what console.time is doing here, it will tell me this function taking this time and this function is taking this time. So yes, we have console.time. So depending on the time here, which is which one is more optimized, that means it takes less time and less memory. And depending on these two, less memory and less time, we can choose or we can decide this solution is better than this solution.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. That's nice.
Yeah, but don't worry, it's in the next module.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Let's remove map. I think map should be clear. Reduce. So what the hell is reduce? Well, reduce if I have like that, for example, if I have array of item and now I want to add all these items together, let's say, if I want to multiply all of them or add all of them, make all of them one item, then I can see reduce. Let's go to the documentation again and search for reduce, what reduce is doing. Reduce, voila. So the reduce here, it's execute the supply reducer callback function on the element in order passing the return value for the, what they are trying to do here. If I want to, for example, I have array of this one and I'm trying to reduce all these items inside my array into one item. So I can add all of them or multiply all of them. And if they are string, for example, I can add all of them, stuff like that. So if I'm trying to reduce my arrays, that means I have multiple items inside my array, but I want to make them one. Either I can, for example, the most common example, it will be adding them or multiply all of them to get the result here. I can use reduce. And what reduce here is also take a callback function. And yeah, what it will return here, it will return a single value. And single value, it will be the result of the reducer. If you are adding all of them, it will be the sum of all of them. If you are trying to multiply all of them, it will be the result of multiplying all of them. Reduce is a little bit is new for you. So let's try to do it here. Now, what I'm trying to do is here is the reduce. And remember, in a reduce, it has a syntax a little bit different from the others. Okay, if I go to the reduce here, so reduce does not take only a callback function, actually. It take a callback function and what we call the accumulator. The accumulator, it will be just a value. Yeah. No, actually, it take the callback and the initial value also. So it returns a single value. Let's see what that's supposed to mean. So I know reduce, it return a single value. I've just told you. So what return here, single value. So I can directly save it in a variable. I can just say const result, it's equal to number dot reduce. Now, when I say dot reduce here, reduce, it's higher order method or function. It take a callback function here. So I can pass just my callback function like that. And my callback function, it does not take one parameter. It takes two parameters, actually. Something we call the accumulator. And the second parameter here, it will be the number. And here, what will happen here, I will just say ACC plus num. If I want to add all of them, that should be enough. And now, if I log the result, what do you think the result it will give me? Yes? What do you think the result it will give me? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10?
55.
I don't know. Let's see. That's what my VS Code is telling me. So let's see. Let's refresh. Let's run it. And indeed, it's 55. So what's happening here in a reduce? Reduce, as you can see, the syntax is a bit different from the other. So it does not take only, actually take callback function, But the callback function does not take only as the item, as you can see here. It was just the item, the item, the item. It take another parameter which is called the accumulator. You cannot replace the parameter like that because reduce is being defined this way. You can use it this way. In JavaScript, that's been created, so you cannot change it. The first parameter is accumulator. The second one is the number. That means what's happening here, if accumulator is the first time, if I did not give any value, it will be 1. It will take the first item inside my array. So accumulator the first time here, it will be 1. And then here, it will pass to 2. So what will happen here? It will be 1, here it will be 2, and it will add both of them. So the accumulator here, it will be 3. And then this one, it will be 3, then it will take 3 plus 3, it will become 6. And so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. But of course, we need to debug it to understand it more. Yeah, so let's debug it to understand what's going on here in this reduce. So debug, and let's go line by line to see what's going on. Don't. You bad cat. Guys, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, let's click. Oh, yeah. Debug. Okay, let's click on this one. That's my array. Now notice what will happen here. Notice here in the script here on the scope. If I click on it, so the accumulator, if I don't provide a default value, it will be 1. So it will be the first item inside my array. So this ACC, it will be the first item inside my array. And num here, it will skip here, it will be 2. So you may tell me why it's not starting with 1? Because I did not pass a default value. Actually, the reduce here, it takes 2 parameters. It takes the callback function and in the initial value. If I pass here the initial value, the accumulator, it will take the initial value. Here, I'm not passing anything. I'm just passing my callback function, as you can see. And in my callback function, I told you it takes 2 parameters. The accumulator, that will be the final result, which will be result in adding all the number, and then it will start with 2. Why? Because it takes the accumulator here, in this case, it will be 1, because I did not pass simply a default value. So what will happen? This value is 1, and here num is 2. So what we're going to do, it will add 1, 2, 2. 1 plus 2, it's 3, right? So if I go through it, now it will be the accumulator here, the return value, it will be 3. So the accumulator now is 3. As you can see, it's 3. Now it will take the second number, which is 3, because I finished with 2 now, 3, 3. Now what's going to do here, it will add 3 plus 3, and it will give me 6. And now it should return 6. So here, return 6, as you can see. Now it will go to the other number. Now it will go with 4. So that's 4, and that's 6. 6 plus 4, it will be 10. And now it will result, and now it will return 10, as you can see. Now here is 10. Now it will take 5, because now it's going through all the item here. So 10 plus 5 here, it will plus them, and it will be 15. Now this function here, it will return 15. And now the accumulator now will become 15. And because it's 15 now, it will take the 6th number here. So 15 plus 6, and I think you get the idea if I'm not mistaken. So it will add both of them. 15 plus 6 is 21 if I'm not mistaken. And there's a return 21. Now the accumulator is 21. 21, and it will take 7. If I hover over it, voila, 7. 21 plus 7, it should be 28, and now it will return 28, as you can see. Now, if this one is 28, it will take the other number, which is 8. Voila. 28 plus 8, I think it's 36, if I'm not mistaken. Click, and indeed it's 36. Now here it's 36, and it will take 9. 36 plus 9.
United this January with reports coming out that the Saudi Pro League side
45.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka is their new right back this January after turning their attention from Emerson Royale.
Rachel, your mic is open, Rachel.
It's my mic.
It's someone else. No, it's not Rachel's.
Who is it?
It was Samuel.
Ah, sorry. Okay, fine. Do you get the idea of reduce? So what's happening, what is reduce is trying to do is try, as I told you from the name, it try to reduce the array into a single item. And here, reduce take and callback functions. That's my callback function here, as you can see. The callback function that does not take only num as the previous callback here. It takes 2 parameters. That will be the accumulator, or you can name it sum. sum or accumulator. And if you name it sum, that means because I'm adding them. Or if you want a general name, it's just say accumulator, it will be better. Accumulator, num, and here it will be accumulator plus num. Remember something. Now here, this reduce can take two parameters, not only one parameter. It does not take only the callback function. I can provide the default value. And here, if I provide the default value 0, why? Because anything plus 0, it will give me the same number. This accumulator now, it will be 0, and we will start with 1. So it does not make any changes, actually. If you provide the default number, accumulator, it will be 0, and num, it will be 1. If you did not provide accumulator by default, it will be the first item inside my array. Is the idea clear or not?
Yes, but reduce we can use only with numbers, right? But no, not without string, not with strings.
You can use with string. For example, let's say I have array of string and you want to add all of them. So you need to concatenate all of them. You can do that.
Like
It's
make
just like a plus.
make it as text.
Yeah, if it's text, but what we will do here, it will just concatenate all the text. It's fine. Because we are using the plus here. The plus, if both of them are number, if one of them is string, it will just concatenate them, which will add them together. We
Okay.
also can multiply.
It's
But
like
of course,
join.
yeah, it's like join, exactly. Here, but remember here, when I'm trying to multiply, if the default value is 0, anything multiplied by 0, it will give me. Anything multiplied by 0, it will give
0.
me. So I need to start with 1 in this case here. You need to know what you are doing, because anything multiplied by 1, it will give me the same number. So now if I go to the result and refresh, and of course it will multiply all my number, as you can see, 3, 6, 2, well, that's the result. So reduce, what is going to do sometimes is very useful. I would not say we use it a lot, but it's not that quite used. But you need to understand that what reduce is doing, and try to take an array, and after that try to accumulate them in some way, either depending on this callback you are passing, either it will add them, or it will concatenate them, or it will multiply them, or will do something like that. Is the idea clear? And remember, reduce is a little bit different than the other. Why? Because it takes a callback and a default value. And default value, it will be differ if you are trying to add or multiply. So you need to be careful with the default value. If you did not pass the default value, the first item in your array, it will be the default value, and it will start with the second one. So it will really not affect the calculation. It will not affect at all. Is the idea clear? And to convince you, now remember this number, which is 36288. Now, if I did not pass a default value and run it, it will give me the same number exactly. So passing default value or not, it will not affect all the time. But it's nice to know that it takes more than one parameter. Is the idea clear? Yeah? No?
Yes.
Perfect. We have for each, and for each, it's just like for loop, by the way. It's for loop is more efficient. Why? Because it's faster comparing to for each, but it's very similar to for loop. So what the hell for each is doing? Now, for example, let's say I want to loop through each item inside my array, and I want to do something. I want to console.log, just like we do it in for loop, if you remember. Well, I can do it with these guys. It's very simple. I can just say numbers dot for each, and for each we use it a lot actually. For each, and of course for each is higher order method, so I need to pass just like the other method. And in here I can put curly braces if I want to, and I can call the number like so. Missing semicolon, voila. Of course, if I am using just console.log, I can just make it even smaller. I can remove these braces here, and I can put this one in the same line. So remove this one, I can put it in the same line. And as I told you, in arrow function, if I have only one line of code, I don't need to put the body of the function. I don't really need to do return anything. So it will be automatic. And now what's going to do, it will go through my array and it will log each item inside my array. So let's try to do it. Clicky, run, and voila. It's very similar to for loop, except the for loop is more efficient. It's faster. This for each is a little bit slower, but we use it a lot. Is it okay? Yes, no.
Can we have a more complex example of for each?
Of course.
Like a more difficult example, like not
If
just
you
the console
want.
log?
Yeah, what do you want to do? Tell me.
No idea.
But yeah, Just tell me what do you want, and here, as you can see, if you have more complex example, you can add the body of the function, as you can see, and in here you can do whatever you want to. For example, I will say const, let's say num. I can do something else. I can say num is equal to num multiplied by 2, for example, and then I can log num if I want to. And here it's telling me identifier error. So maybe I can give it some new name. I can name it num2, for example, and here I can name it num2. I cannot think of another example, but you can do whatever you want to here.
And
So what
for
these functions
example-
do? What this function is doing, it will take every item inside my array, then it will multiply it, save it in a new variable, and log the variable. For example, now I am expecting to all of them multiply by 2, as you can see. You can do whatever you want to. It's just
Yeah.
like for loop.
Yeah, but what is the difference of map and for each?
What's the difference between
Map and for each.
which map and for
Map
each?
method, yeah.
Well, I would say map if you want to convert your array. So most of the time we use for each to add some functionality. Most of the time, if I want to sloop through my data, and after that I want to do some calculation or something like that. So for example, in this, if I want to do something very complex, I can, most of the time I will use for each. For map, most of the time we use it just to structure the data. So if I have most of the time when I have data from the backend, which is array of object, if I want to structure my data differently, I want to keep some data and remove some data, I will use map. There's no that huge difference between them, but for each, as I told you, if you want to do any calculation, you should use for each. But if you want to structure your data, you should use map.
Okay.
Because
the
map
idea clear?
returns the array, and
Yeah.
for each it doesn't return array.
But you can return if you want. No, for each, it just loops through them. It does not return an array. It will loop through them and it will do something depending on your need. It will not return map, it will return a new array, but for each does not return. You can, for each one, you need to do something. So let's check the documentation actually. For each, four. Yeah, click. So if I go to for each here, it's instant execute provide a function once for each method here, the parameter here. So it return value is none, it return undefined. It does not return an array just like map. And that's the reason actually why when we try to structure our data, for example, I have an object with a lot of property and I want to only keep the property I want to, we should use map because map, it will return the result I want to. But for each, it doesn't do that. It just maps through, I'm sorry, it loops through all your item just like for loop, and after that you can do some calculation. Is the idea clear, Dinyando?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I think for each it should be
Amir?
clear. Yes.
And can we do like if we have two arrays and we want to add the index 0 plus index 0 from the second array and so on, index 2 from with the index 2 from, like, add two arrays. Is it
You
possible?
can. Of course you can. Everything
With
is
for
possible.
each, or how could you show us?
Yes. So let's create a new array here. So just say const number 2. So I will just name this one for now number 1, and I will name this one number 2. Let's use this number like that. So what I can do, let me just remove this one here and try to do this example here. So what I can do, so you want me to add them, and after that you want me to return a new array?
Yes.
Okay.
So
if
it
I
will
want,
be with map.
it will be with map, yes. So I can
Okay.
see, I can just say const result, it's equal to, and now here I can say, for example, number 1 dot, I can use map like that. Now, and the index here, by the way, if I need the index, I can pass the index here. And now what I can do here, of course, I need something like that to close it. And what I can do, I can just say I want the number plus number 2, which is here, this one, plus the index. So here in my map, it does not take only number. If I need the index, it will be comma index. And what do I need the index? Because I want this index, I want to plus them. This index and this index plus them. This index and this index plus them. So what I'm coming to, of course, it give me an error because it's one line, so I don't need that. And that should be okay. Did you see how I did it, Agnieszka? You
Yeah.
understand it? Did you understand it or not?
Not really, because like num and after that index.
Okay, let's go and see debug. Refresh. First, let me show you the result. And here, if I 1 multiplied by 1 plus 11, 12, right? 2 plus 12, it's 14. And if you calculate all of them, it will be the same result. But let's debug it. Debug. Now, what you need to understand, map, and also actually all these methods here, or most of these methods, if you go to the documentation, they can have another value here, and this will be the index. What do you mean by the index? What's the index of 11? What is the index of 11? 0. What's the index of 12?
1.
1, 2, 3, 1, so on. What's the index of 1?
0.
Okay, now if I want to go loop through number 1, I have the number and also I have the index. Why do I need the index? Well, because if this index and this index, both these numbers, they have the same index. So I can just say num here, it will be my number. And I can use array to this number 2. That's my array 2. Bracket index, it will give me the value here. And let's go through it and try to understand what's going on. So I have my 2 array in the memory here. And now here, as you can see, num1 here is the first value. What is the index? 0, right? What's the index of 1? 0. So it will give me the index. Now, what should I do? Well, num1 is 1 here, and the index is 0. Num1 here is 1. I want to add to what? To 11. How can I access 11? Well, it will be array 2, as you can see, num2. Index, what is the index 0? 11. So it will be just 1 plus 11. And voila, if I hover over this one, it will give me 11. You got the idea.
Okay.
I can use for loop if I want to, huh?
Okay. And if one array is shorter than another one, so it will be undefined at the end, or?
Yes, so we are trying to multiply plus a number with undefined. So actually, let's try to do it. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is 10. Let's make this one a 9, for example. The result, it should be none actually when you try to add them, because this one, it will be undefined plus a number. It should be 9, something like that. But let's see. Because when you try to convert undefined into a number, I think it should be none. So let's try it. Click on this one. Click, refresh, and run it. And none, as you can see. So it will give you none. Cool?
Yeah, thank you.
Is it clear what you are doing here?
Yeah.
Good. You can again go to that. We can do it even with for loops. We can do it in multiple way here, but that's the easiest way. Let me get rid of this one. What else do we have? We've seen this one, sort. Can anyone tell me what sort is doing from the name? What is sort doing?
It's
Stop,
sort.
boys, stop. It's sorting my array, simply like that. So let's try to sort our array. So let's say console const result. Of course, sort, it will return me a new array, which this array, it will be sorted. Number dot sort. Now, normally when I try to pass sort, I can just do sort like that, only without anything, without passing any function. And if I log the result here, it will give me, no, it will not give me 110 like that. It should give me actually one, should sort it ascendingly by default. So let's log it and see. Run. So actually it's give me 1, and here, as you can see, 10, because this is 1, 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, okay. So what is sorter is doing? A sort, I'm trying to sort my array either this ascendingly, that's from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that ascending, or descending, that means 10, 9, 8, 7. So how can I do that? Well, when I'm trying to sort, the way sort work, I need to pass a function, and this function, it will be 2 parameters. So this one, it will be the first number, and this one it will be the second number. Why? Because when JavaScript try to do the sorting, it need to compare this one and this one. So it need to compare both of them, and depending on the result, either we're gonna minus them. So if I minus this one from this one, and the result it will become more than 0 or is equal to 0 or less than 0, it will choose to put this one first or this one second. So sorting here actually, what is doing all the time, it will compare these two values, these values and these values. Then it will compare this value and this value. And then it will compare this value and this value, with this value and this value. So it will compare all of them. And depending on the condition, it will put this one here or this one here or this one here. It will sort them. Is the idea theoretically clear? Yes? No? Hello?
Yes.
And here I just can say A minus B. So let's see what A minus B will do. What I'm missing? Sort. Yeah, that should be a space required before comma. Well, thank you. Okay. So simply, if I do it this way, now it should give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. And of
But
course,
Amir,
yeah.
our array is already sorted, no?
Yes, it's already sorted, indeed. But let's try to play with it a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's make this one 10. Let's make this one 5. And now it's not sorted. Let's sort it. Clicky, and should be sorted. So let's refresh this one. Let's click run. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Voila. But what is going on here? Can anyone tell me what is going on here? How JavaScript defined and sorting? Let's go to the documentation and see. So where is sort, S. Voila. So what JavaScript simply will do in sorting here, of course, sort is a higher order method. That means I need to pass a function or a parameter. Here it will be a callback function. And here this callback function take two parameters, A and B. A, it will be the first number, and B, it will be the second number. Of course, when I say A and B, remember, A and B, first A, it will be 1, and B, it will be 2. Then after that, it will change. It will be 2, A, it will be 2, and then B, it will be 3, and so on, and so on, and so on. So JavaScript need to compare all these two values together to decide which one to put first and which one to put second, because otherwise it will not be able to sort it. So the sort mechanism, how it works, it will take two items from the array, and then it will compare them. And depending on this result here, if it's greater than 0 or less than 0 or is equal to 0, it will decide to put A first or B first. Let's go back to the documentation. So what it will return here, what it will return here, actually, it's a sorted array. Now, if the result A minus B, if it's greater than 0, notice if the result is greater than 0, it will put A after B. So it will put B first and then A after it. If the result is less than 0, then it will put A first, it will keep it first, and B, it will be it will be B, then A. So here it will be A, B, B, A, and if it's 0, it will not change anything. So you need to remember this table here. So if it's greater than 0, the result, it will put A first, then B. And if it is 0, it will change nothing. But if it's less than 0, it will put A, it will put B, sorry, B, then A. And if you forget it, you have the table here anyway. So let's notice what is going on here. So let's go here into our code. Refresh and try to debug it. Debug. So let's see what's going on here. Let's click. That's my array. Cool. So here, as you can see, if you notice in the scope, if I click, so notice A now, A is 2. So A is become the number 2, and B is become the number 1. So it's taken just two numbers, as you can see. A, it will be 2, and B, it will be 1. So what it's going to do here now, it will be 2 minus B. If 2 minus 1, how much it is? It's 1. Is it greater than 0 or less than 0? Again, I have these two numbers, 2 and 1. So what I'm saying, I want A, which is 2, minus B, which is 1. 2 minus 1, it the result, it will be 1, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the return here, it will be 1 because 1 is greater than 0. So what is going to do here, it will put A first because, I'm sorry, it will put actually B first here because the result here is greater than 0. I think it should be put A first, but A is 2 here. And B here is 1, so it should be 2 minus 1. So what it's going to do here, it will put B first actually, because it's 1 and then it will put A. Well, the result here is greater than 0. Let me check again. Greater than 0. So sort A after B. So indeed here it will be, it will put B first. No, it will put A first, then B. But that's okay because A here actually. This one is 2. This one is A. Should be like that.
And why A is 2 and B is 1?
Yeah, that's how. I don't have any explanation for that actually. But let me try to do something different. Instead of saying A and B, let's name it num1 and num2. And here, let me remove this. I'll check it for you, Agnieszka, and see why the result is like that. If I take num1 minus num2, click, and let's see what will happen. Click, click, let's refresh. Let's go to debug our code again. And in here, let's just click, click. So let's see here, click. Well, it looked like all the time, Agnieszka, what is doing here, the first number is assigned to the second parameter. And let's go back to the documentation to see. A is the first item of the comparison. Yes, a function that defines the sort order. The return value should be a number whose sign indicates the relative order of the two elements. Negative of A is less than B. But if it's negative, then A is less than B. If it's negative. If it's positive, then A is greater than B. If it's 0, nothing it will happen. This should be the first element of comparison, the second element of the comparison. Yes, the return of the original now. If comparison is not supplied or sorted by convention to the string comparison, sort method preserve empty slot in the source array space. And BA dot value, B dot value. Sorting with map, sort return a reference of the sum. I don't know, Agnieszka. I'll check your question after and then I'll give you an answer, okay?
Okay.
So, okay, so what will happen here? What will happen here, it will just take, forget A and B. It will try to compare these two numbers here. And it will try to, as you say, I'm saying num1 minus num2. So it will take the result. If num1 minus num2, if it's greater than 0, that means num1 is greater than num2. And because num1, it will be greater than num2, it should put num2 first and then num1. Let's go back to our debugger here. I think it will be simple explanation here. So if, as you can see, num1 here is 2, num2 is 1. So if I say num1 minus num2, if the result is positive, that means num1, it will be greater than num2. So what is going to result here, it will put num2 first. In our case, it will be 1, and then it will put num1, as you can see. So let's try to click it here. It return 1, because if I minus num1, which is 2 minus 1, it will give me 1. Because the return value is positive, that means num1 is greater than num2. Because this one is 2, this one is 1. And what it's going to do here, it will simply just put num2 first, Here, num2, it will be put B first, or num2 first, and then num1, because it's positive. Click, and now it will go with 3 and 2. So it will try to compare as 3 and 2. And it will compare all of them. The idea here, what's going on here, it will compare 2 and 3, then 3 and 4, and then 4 and 10, and then 6 and 7, and then 8 and 9, and then 9 and 10, and it will try to compare all of them to try to sort the array either ascendingly or descendingly. I'll explain it later more, but I think for now sorting should be a little bit clear. What if I want to assert it descendingly, not ascendingly? What should I do? That means I want 10 first, and then 9, and then 8. What should I do?
Plus.
Num
Yeah,
minus num
or maybe I
minus
can,
1.
yeah, maybe I can change the position here. If it was num1 minus num2, right? What if I make it num2 minus num1?
Yeah.
And here it will actually change the position. If I click it, reverse it, click, run, and I have 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Voila. So all you have to do, you just have to play with these two numbers. If you put num1 minus num2, it will give you ascending. If you put the opposite here, num2 minus num1, because here, of course, the result it will be different, so it will sort it differently. Before, if the result were positive, now it will be negative. So it will sort them descendingly this way. Is the
And we-
idea a bit clear of sort? Yes.
Yeah, and if we have string, so it will be always alphabetically?
Yeah, well, if you have string, it will be a little bit different. Okay, so let's take, for example, A. If I say A greater than B, maybe it will be a good idea to finish this one, and I will explain it later, Agnieszka, for you.
Okay,
Because
okay. No
it's
problem.
related to something I need to explain anyway.
Okay.
Slice, let's forget slice for now because they spend a lot of time. Let's just take reverse. Reverse should be enough. You already know what's reverse actually. So here the sorting, you know, a little bit sorting. I'm gonna repeat them, don't worry. I'm gonna repeat them. But I feel like I give you a lot today. Here, just reverse, take nothing here. If I say number dot reverse, it will just reverse my array. So it will give me 5, 9, 8, blah, blah. Why? Because 5 is here. It will give me 5, 9, 8, 7, 6. It will just reverse it normally, simply like that, just like a string. So reverse of one of the array method, as you know. Is everything a little bit clear theoretically at least? Yes, no?
And with reverse, so like if we would like to reverse like from the 5th index and before no,
It
we
won't
can,
work this. It won't
no?
work this way. No.
It will be always the whole array.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now if I want to reverse it, so I say dot reverse. As you can see, it's one of the array method. If I click on this one, it will reverse my whole array. Clear?
Okay.
I will go back to your question, Agnieszka, which was how can we sort the array? Let's say we have a string. So what's going on in case of string? So as you can see, you still can hear me, I think. Now with number, it's quite simple. Why? Because I'm saying number minus number, right? Yes.
Yes.
Because minus here, it's just arithmetic operation. Normally we deal with number. But what if, let's close, clean everything here. What if I have an array, let's see, instead of number, let's say chars. And here I have some character. Some character here, but I don't want it this way. I want it to be an array. I don't want to be like that. I want to be B, A, C, something like that. So if I want to try to sort this character here, try to sort it, it doesn't make sense because if I see B as a string here, minus A, it doesn't make sense. So what JavaScript is going to do, it will going to convert this B into something we call chart code add. So it will try to convert it to something look like a number. And then, or is a representation of this character in a number. So we have a table called ASCII key or ASCII table. What ASCII table is doing here, it will try to, so each character here, it has a representation as a number. What do I mean by that? So if I say, for example, A, if I want the number in the ASCII table, so this one is represented by number. So if I click dot char code add, for example, this method here is one of the string method, and it will give me what's the char code add. And now if I go to ASCII table, it will give me this one, 97. What do 97 mean? So each character here in your keyboard, it is represented by numbers. And this number after that, it will be converted to binary because my computer does not understand anything except 0 and 1s. So each string here, it will be converted into what we call char code add, or depending on the ASCII table. Let me show you what is the ASCII table I mean. Clicky, where is search? ASCII table. So if I click on ASCII table here, as you can see. So the ASCII table, as you can see, every number, even the number, as you can see, every number, every character, every uppercase or lowercase is represented actually by a number here. Okay. Now, when I try to log the A, what was the number giving me? It was 97. So let's go now to our ASCII table here. Where is 97, 97, 97, 97, 97, 97? As you can see, it gave me what? It gave me A, right? Now, if I try it with B, it will be 98. If I try it with C, it will be 99. If I try it with D, it will be 100. If I try with B capital, it will be 66. If I try it with exclamation mark, it will give me 33. And so on and so on. Even the number here, if I have 1A, it will be represented by 26. So each character or each char, let's say, in your keyboard, it's represented by a decimal number, let's say. What JavaScript is trying to do here, it will try to convert it to a decimal. So it will try to convert it to a number. Why? Because simply what sort is doing here, it will try to compare, or it try to minus A and B. It cannot minus A and B because both of them are strings. So it will try to change it or convert it to its representation in the ASCII table. And now when it converted to this one here, then it has a number, and depending on this number, it can decide which one is greater or which one is less. Is the idea clear, Agnieszka?
Yes. But for example, if we would like to, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on, and we would like to sort it.
So what will happen here? If now we'll work with Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Let's first now finish this one, and then we'll try to work with yours. So I can just say const result for now. Result. It will be char or chars dot sort. And as you know, I told you sort it's a higher order method. It take a function as a parameter. Here it will be A and B. And what I want to do here, if I want to sort it ascendingly, I will just say A minus B, right? That's what we did. And of course, I need to do just this one. And of course, this one, it will give me A. What I'm missing? I'm missing nothing. I just need some space here. No trailing here. Let's log the result. If I log the result now, it will give me A and B and C. Why? Click. Refresh. Can anyone tell me why it will give me A and B and C?
Because A is in general 97, B is 98, and so on.
Just a second. Why it giving me A minus B? It give me B and A, and then shouldn't give me this one actually, right? B, A, and C. Why? Let's try to just sort without anything. Actually, should working. If I try to sort it without anything and refresh, all right? Now it's sort A, B, C by default, but when I'm passing a function, actually, it does not work. Strangely. A and B, comma B. And here I can just, okay. Maybe what I can do here, I can just say A to char code add. minus the char code add, and now it should work. It look like sort is does not do it by default. I need to do it. So what I'm doing here, I'm taking the A and char code add. Char code at 0 here, I can pass nothing, and I can pass nothing here. So what it's going to do, it will convert A to representation in the ASCII key, and I think it was 97, and this one it will be 98, and now it should work actually. So let's refresh, and now it should work. So let's run, and voila, A, B, C. Now it's working. You got the idea, Agnieszka?
Mm-hmm.
So what I need to do here, I need to take A dot char code add. Now, if you don't know what each number or anything, what is the representation here, you can just say, put it as a string and then char code add. If now we try it with B, just to be sure. B now should be 98, as you can see. So it does make sense. And now here, if I try with C, it should give me 99. So if I'm trying to sort in it ascendingly, it does make sense A to be first, B to be first, and C to be first. It's not about alphabetically, it's about these numbers. Now, if I wanted to make it descendingly, I can just convert it like that. So I take just like I did, click. I will say B char code add minus A char code add, and now it should sort it descendingly. Voila. Let's go again, refresh, and run. And as you can see, CBA. That's cool, huh? Yes, no?
Yes, but it's
Let's go
complicated.
Monday.
Yeah, because
no,
if
no,
we
no.
have uppercase and lowercase, so
No,
yeah,
no, no,
so
no, 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 no. It's not complicated. Your job is not complicated. This function is just convert everything for you. All you have to remember, if you have a string, you need to convert it into representation. I thought sort is doing it by default, but actually it wasn't doing it. So what you need to do, you need to take the first item and convert it to char code add, and here char code add. And now what I can do, now as you can see, Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday here, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. But in some cases, as you can see, the T and the T, they are the same, right? So both of them start with the same, let's say, representation ASCII key, it's the same number. So what JavaScript is doing here, then it will go to the second number or the second character, U and H, and it will compare them. If they are the same, it will go to the third one. If they are the same, it will go to the first one, and so on and so on and so on. If they are exactly the same, it will change nothing. Did you get the idea? Yes, no?
yes, but here we would like to have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in this order and not the
Yeah, so let's
and
do,
not alphabetically.
what do you, yes, but Monday, just a second. Monday, Tuesday, no. It doesn't work like that, Agnieszka. Because here's what sorting is doing here, it will sort it according to this character here. So it depends on the character actually. If you want it to be in specific order, you need to write it yourself, because what sorting is doing, it's sort according to the representation number, the ASCII key, okay? And the ASCII key, for example, here, if I write it this way, the F come before the M, and this come before the S, as you can see. So it's normal, it will order it this way. You got my point?
Yeah.
So it won't work actually. Clear? Yes, no? Should be a little bit clear if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Do not worry about sorting. I'll give you more example later on. Let me click in here, and now let me go to something interesting. Click. I don't need you anymore. The ASCII table, you can check it. Let's go to here. That's what I'm interested in. It's 10.5. Do you want to take a break and then come back or not?
Yeah, sure.
I
Yeah.
think short break, it will be good. Okay, pause, no. But anyway, I think this one is clear if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Let's go here, click on this one. So tracing operator, you can trace the operator as well using trace table or trace bottom. That's okay, that's fine. Primitive type, of course, you know what's a primitive type. We have string, number, boolean, null, undefined. You already know them. You know how to define or know what's the type of a variable. For example, just to give you a short example, if I say type of, I can use this operator, which is called type of. And say type of 5, for example. Of course, it will give me number. Notice, whenever I say type of, yes, it gives me number, but as a string, huh? So if I say what type, all the time it will give me string here. If I say what type of hello, for example, it will also give me string as a string here. So string, but all of them surrounded by string. What type of null? Null, it will be an object, but as a string. So you need to notice this one here. It must be as a string. So it will give you just string, all of them is a string. So what it return all the time, it's string. Yes, it's number type, but actually it's surrounded by single quote, all of them, or double quote. So it's string. I think that should be clear also, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Explicit and implicit coercion. Do you know what's the difference between explicit and implicit coercion? Can anyone tell me what's the difference between explicit and implicit coercion? What's the difference between explicit and implicit coercion? Come on, guys. In English, when I say explicitly do that, that means I want to do that. I need to do it with my hand explicitly. But implicitly, no.
Convert to different data type.
Yeah, for example, if I say A is greater than B, does that make sense? Does that make sense? A is greater than B. Does that make sense in math, for example, or in programming?
No.
No, it doesn't make sense because I cannot use greater or less than. I need to use numbers, right? Yes or
Yes.
no?
Yes.
So what JavaScript is doing in this condition? JavaScript is converting this one to its char code in ASCII key. What was the char code for A? It was 96 or 97. Let's check. Do char code at. And I think it's 97. You are right. And if I try with B, it will be 98. Voila. So what JavaScript is doing here, it cannot understand this one. It's not possible to compare two strings. So it will convert this one to its a number representation in the ASCII table. A is 97, and I'm saying 97 is greater than 98. And of course, it will give me false. And now if I try it a little bit differently, and I say this one here with B greater than, it will give me true. Why? Because 98 is greater than 97. So that's what we call implicit coercion. What do I mean by implicit? That means I don't do it myself. JavaScript do it for me behind the scene. So JavaScript converts this A character here to its representation of the number. It converts it to the char code at automatically. And it's the same for B. So I don't do it myself. JavaScript does that for me and give me the result. That's what we call implicit coercion. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Here in this example, if I say if empty string, but here in if I need a Boolean, either true or false. But JavaScript here takes this one here and it converted to a Boolean. I don't tell it to convert it Boolean. It's automatically. JavaScript is smart enough. So that's what we call implicit coercion. Coercion means casting, converting to another type. So this truthiness or falseness, JavaScript do it automatically. And that's what we call implicit coercion. Explicit coercion, that's when I use, for example, number like that, and use this function, like when I get a number from the user, for example, 12. And now here I'm explicitly asking my code to convert this value to a number or to string. If I say string, and I want you to stringify this number for me, for example, 12. Let me remove this one. And as you can see, it gives me this one, or I'm using Boolean like that. Sorry, Boolean like that. And Boolean here, I can say for empty string, which is false. So when I use this function or these classes, number, string, Boolean in my code to convert one data type to another, that's what we call explicit casting or explicit coercion. I'm explicitly telling JavaScript, I want you to convert this sum to this number or to Boolean or to a string. But here, when I'm not telling JavaScript to do that, that's what we call implicit. JavaScript do it for me. Is the idea clear? Should be simple. Yes, no?
Yes.
Good. Here it's just telling you this one, truthiness. I think it's quite not that difficult. You know the and or not. And also, you know, ternary operator should be fine. Short circuit. Now, I haven't mentioned short circuit before a little bit, but let's see what is short circuit here. So what the hell is short circuit? Because it's quite important, actually. Now, if I do something like that, now when I have a true, let's do it here as a comment. Comment. So short circuit is related to and or. If I say true and true, what it will give me?
True.
True.
True and true, it will give me true.
True.
But if I say false and true, what it will give me?
False.
False.
False, of course. And if I say true and false, what JavaScript it will
False.
give me? False.
False.
And if I have false and false, what it will give me?
False.
True.
False.
False. No, it's false because both of them are false. Now, if I try it with the same but with or, it's a little bit different, as you know. If I say here, if I replace this one here, if I use option, I'm not sure it will give me.
Or.
Yeah, if I use or, double pipe, and here use or, and here use or, of course, the value need to be changed. So if I have, sorry. Okay, if I have false and true, it will give me
True.
true. True and true, of course, true. True and false, of course, true. And false and false only, it will give me false. So what is short circuit? Short circuit is just a technique JavaScript is doing and also other programming language doing. What do I mean by that? Well, if this one is true, now when to define something true, both of them need to be true, right? So JavaScript, when it checks this condition here, it needs to go to the second condition and execute it as well. And only if both of them are true, then it will give me true. But notice the second case here. When JavaScript come here and find false, it does not check the second condition. Can anyone tell me why? So in this case, JavaScript, it will never check this one, the second one, the second part. Why?
Because
First one is false.
Because the first one is false. So it know whatever this value, if it's false or true, it doesn't matter. It will give me false. JavaScript is smart enough. So it will just come execute this part and it will never touch this part because it's false. So it automatically it knows it will be false. Now in this case, if this one is true, it will go to check the second condition. And the second condition here, it will check it. Of course, it's false here. It will never check the second condition. That's what we call short circuit. So short circuit, in this example, for example, when I'm using and JavaScript is smart enough, if it finds this condition is false, it will never execute this part. And now if I come to or, it's a little bit different on or. If this one is false, JavaScript need to check the second one, need to execute this one. Because this one is false, it need to check the second one to see if it's true or not. If it's true, then it will execute this part. Well, if this one is true, it will never check the second one. Why? Because one true is enough. So if it's not true or false, it doesn't matter. So it will never execute this part here. Same here. If it's now, I need to change it. I think it should be false and true here. This one false. This one is true. But I have false and true. So this one true. No. True and true. True, false. I don't know. Actually, this one should be true and false, if I'm not mistaken. Well, same idea here in JavaScript. Here in this case, it will never check, excuse the second part. Why? Because it has only one true, so that's enough to give you true. So this part, it will never be executed. For false, JavaScript will come execute this one, and after that, it will go to the second one to check if it's true or not. So it will execute this part, and after that, it will give you false. Is the idea of short circuiting theoretically clear? Yes
Yes.
or no?
Yes.
By the way, we use it in React. And now to give you a good example, if I say 1 and console.log, sorry, 1 and console.log. Do you think this console.log, it will be executed or not, and why?
Yes,
Why?
because one is true.
One is
So,
true, so it will check the second condition and it will try to execute it. May have a syntax error. So if I click on it, it gives me hello, as you can see. So it's very simple, as you can see, because this one is true, with and both of them need to be true. So it will go to check the second one, and when it checks the second one, it will just execute this one. Fine, let's go to the second example. If it's false, so if I have 0 and console.log, this one, it will be executed, the log, or never.
No,
Why?
because we have 0 as false.
Indeed, 0 is false. So as you can see here, it will return 0 for me. So it would just return the first part. It will never execute the second part because the first part is falsy and we are using and. So it doesn't matter even if it is not falsy or truthy, it doesn't matter really. If I go with something else, so if this one is truthy, so let's go do something really nice here. The first one need to be truthy. Let's say 2 and let's make this one falsy here, which is the falsy value, let's say an empty string. What do you think the result it will give me? Do you give me 2 or empty string, and why? This part, it will be executed or not? So I
yes,
say
because 2 is truthy.
So because this one is truthy, it will take the second condition, and as you can see, it will return me an empty string. Same if I do it with the console, by the way. If I say console.log, now the log, it will be executed. Why? Because the first one is truthy, so it need to execute or check the second condition. And if I say, yeah, yes, and now as you can see, it will give me yes. Voila. Now, if of course, if it's falsy here, it will not execute the second part anyway. And if I say, for example, 2 and something, any value falsy, which is null, of course, it will give me. This one is true. I need to pass falsy value. Sorry. So if I pass null and any truthy value here, it will not check it. So any truthy value, let's say 2. Of course, it will return me null. Why? It return null because it never executes this part here. Why? Because simply null is falsy. If this falsy JavaScript, it will not care about this one. It will not execute it. And simply that's what we call the short circuit. Is the idea clear? With false is a little bit the opposite. So for example, with or, if I say, for example, 0, which I know it's falsy, or console.log, for example, console.log like that, do you think the log, it will be executed or not? We are using the or operator, and this one is false. It will check the second condition or not?
Yes,
Yes.
Of course
because
it
the
will.
second condition is true.
Yes, of course it will check the second condition to see if the second condition is true or not. Now, if I log, it will log high. And of course, if I replace it with something truthy, like that, I say 1, this log is never be executed. Why? Because I have one truthy value, so it will never check the second part, as you can see. Yeah, that's it, simply like that. I think the idea is quite clear, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yes, no?
Yes. Yes.
Good. You can explain the implicit coercion. I've explained it. Yeah, with plus, with exclamation mark, with not, stuff like that. Fine. Let's go again here. Okay. We've seen it with string. If I say 23 greater than 24, would give me true or false, and why?
False, because 23 is less than 24.
False.
Yes, but I have, as you can see, let me change it a little bit.
We'll convert it in a number.
Indeed, indeed. So when it comes to greater than or equal than or less than or equal than, JavaScript is smart enough. It cannot do this operation. Just they do it with numbers. So if this is a number, JavaScript will convert this one automatically. That's what you call implicit coercion. It will convert it to a number, and 24 is greater than 23, and that's why it's giving me true. 23 is not greater than 24, and that's why it gives me false. Is that clear? Okay, now if I say not 3, what it will give me, true or false, and why? Not 3 is give me false. Why? You don't need to think about it.
Because 3 is truthy, so if it's not
Truthy.
truthy, so it's false.
Exactly. So if 3 is truthy, that means true. Not true, it will be false. It's simple. If I say not 0, it will give me true. Why? Because 0 is falsy, not falsy, it's truthy, so it will give me true. So yeah, JavaScript do a lot of stuff like that. And of course, I've checked it with the string as well. If, for example, if I say A is less than B, of course, it will give me true. Why? Because what JavaScript is doing here, it will convert this one to the char code, using char code at, it will convert it to its representation number. A is 97, and this one is 98, and 98 is greater than 97, as you know. Is the idea clear here? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
We still have one operation. If I say 2 plus 5, what will be the result and why? Okay, 2 plus 4 as a string, what will be the result and why?
Concatenation.
So it will be 24. Why? Because as I told you, with plus sign, if both of them are number, JavaScript, it will do, so 4 plus 5, both of them are number, it will just give me the result, which is 9. But if one of them is string, JavaScript, it will convert the second one to a string, and then it will concatenate them. Should be clear, huh? If I say 3 as a string, and I say multiply by 4, what it will give me? It give me 12, right? Why?
Because concatenation is only with the plus sign? With the
Yes,
addition?
yes,
Okay.
because the concatenation, yes, we do the concatenation only with the plus sign.
Okay.
That's why if it's not minus, for example, string minus 3, it give me 1. So JavaScript is smart enough to convert it to a number, even with multiplication, even with division, with everything except the plus sign. The plus sign has 2 meanings, and we explained it before. So the plus sign, if both of them are number, that's how it works in JavaScript. Both of them are number, it will do normal arithmetic operations, 3 plus 3. But if one of them is string, it will just concatenate them. Voila. Clear?
Yes.
Good. Comparison, we see template literal. I think you know what's template literal, if I'm not mistaken, or not. Do you know what's a template literal? Come on, guys. If I have a variable name, I just say const name, it's equal to testing. Now, that's template literal, simply. It's backtick, hello from, and if I want to insert a variable inside, $sign and the name of the variable. Here, we don't add plus sign and stuff like that. If you add a plus sign, it will show you in your string as a plus sign. Do you understand what I mean? So if I add a plus sign here and I go to my console, reverse, log, so it shows me the plus sign as a string, because here the plus sign has nothing. Here, template literal, it will just like normal string, if space all of them never is, but allow me to insert the variable dynamically. Is that what we call, what do we call this one? String interpolation. String interpolation, it just means that taking the value of the variable and put it inside the string. So we call it in C and C++ string interpolation, actually in Java as well, string interpolation. But here we just call it template literal. Clear? I explained it a lot of times, huh? Yes, no.
Yes.
What else? What's the different statement versus expression? So what the hell is statement? What the hell is expression? Now, statement can be consist of different expression. So the expression, it means it result in one value. For example, if I say 2 multiplied by 3 plus 5 minus 2, that's what we call expression. Why? Because all this value, it evaluate at the end one value. So that's what we call expression. But statement, for example, if I say if, for example, if one with if condition like that, or with function stuff like that, actually the function could be also expression, because it return at the end, it give me one value. This one here, it will be statement, of course, because here with if condition stuff like that, those are statement. When I declare a variable, it's statement. But an expression all the time, that means it will be evaluated at the end to one value, simply like that. Bit clear what statement and expression. I shared before with you an article. I don't know if you read it or not. Yes, no.
Yes.
Arithmetic, we talk about it. Imperative programming. Can anyone tell me what is imperative programming? What is imperative programming? What is imperative programming? Well, everything we do in vanilla JavaScript, that's what we call imperative programming. Everything we do in a framework like React, that's what we call declarative programming. Imperative programming means that I want to tell JavaScript line by line what to do. Here, for example, I'm asking JavaScript, create a variable name and give it value testing. Then I want you to log the name. That's imperative. I'm telling JavaScript line by line what it do. But if you are familiarized with React, if I am inside React, I don't tell JavaScript create button for me or something like that. I will just say button like that, return a button like that, for example, and JavaScript, it will create a button for me. I don't care how it created, but it will create a button for me. I'm just changing JavaScript, that's a button, and it creates a button for me. I don't care. To compare these two, I will give you an example. Imagine it this way: when you make your sandwich, When you make your sandwich, you do every job, you do everything step by step, right? So what you are doing here, you are cutting the bread, for example, cut bread. So you are cutting the bread, for example, get slice of bread, then you do add cheese, put slice of bread on the top, and that's it. So you do every step by yourself, every step in detail. But when you go to a restaurant here, go to restaurant, and ask for a sandwich. So here in sandwich, all you have to do is say, I want chicken sandwich, and they will prepare it for you. How they prepare it for you, you don't care. So what's important for you, I want my sandwich. Here, that's what we call imperative. Here, the declarative. Is the idea clear? When we study React, it will become much more clear. Yes? No?
Yes.
So here in imperative, everything in vanilla JavaScript without a framework is imperative, because I'm line by line, I'm telling JavaScript what to do. But here declarative approach, so that's imperative programming. And here, that's what you call declarative approach. So declarative, most of the time we use framework. I'm just telling framework, I want a button. How he created, I don't care. But in imperative programming, it's super important to tell JavaScript step by step what it's doing. Declare a variable for me, create a function for me. I want you to do that. I want you to do that. That's imperative. As mostly that's vanilla JavaScript. Vanilla JS. Here mostly they are framework. React, Angular, Vue, whatever. Is the idea clear? Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Here, write interaction program. I think you do now you do blanks, bugs, stuff like that. That's okay. Use number. That should be fun. Testful program. You can go through your program step by step when you have HTML and CSS. That's sure okay. Condition, you know. Loops, you know. Block scope. Block scope, I did explain. Do you want me to explain it again or you understand it? Just remember this thing. Const and let. Const and let. They are block scope. Block scope, it doesn't matter what I am using. Even if it's like that, if I declare it here, it will only live here. Out that I cannot access it. Even if it's just like that, just empty curly brace like that. It doesn't matter if it's function or for or just even curly brace like that. They are block scope, only exist in this block here. Block, that means curly brace and curly brace, that's a block. But var, which we will never gonna use, of course, but just so you know, var is a function scope. That means if I say function like that, and I declare a variable inside of function, then here it only lives here. Okay, that's the scope. So it's scope, it's function scope. That's what we call it. If I declare var here, it will not be block scope, so it will be known outside of this scope as well. And sometimes that create bugs. That's the reason why we don't use a lot var and we use const and let. Is the idea clear, I think? Yeah. For of loop should be simple. While loop should be simple. For loop, I think you know what we are doing. Break and continue should be simple, both of them. You can use a debugger to predict the check. It should be simple. Test, I've already taught you test. Documentation function, you know. Arrow function. So let me go back to arrow function. You're still hearing me, right? Good. So arrow function, it's ES6 syntax. ES6 is, as I told you, after 2015, we have a new feature has been added to JavaScript, which is called ECMAScript. That's what you call ECMAScript. It stands for ES, stands for ECMAScript, which is like an organization or standard to standard JavaScript. It's just European organization try to standard and make JavaScript making all, let's say, company use the same JavaScript. So that like that, it will be more popular programming language. We don't care about all of that, but what we care about is arrow function. I told you to declare an arrow function. I will need to do something like that, curly brace, and then I need an arrow, and then I need the body of the function. Of course, arrow function has no name, and sometimes I don't need to assign it to a variable. For example, we've seen in array method, I just need to pass it to my higher order function. But in my example, I need to store it in a variable. So I will say const say hi, for example, say hi. It's equals, that's my function, say hi. Now with arrow function, we have something we can do with it. We cannot do with other function. Like what? For example, if I have only one line of code, I don't need this body of the function here, the curly brace, I don't need it. I can just write this line of code on here, console.log hi like that. And it will be working. Absolutely, it will be working. Voila. If I go now to my testing, I'm not sure if it's this one. Yes, it is. If I click on this one, and I hit run, and hi, as you can see. So I don't need the body of the function. Also, if I want to return a value, let's say here, here I want to return, I just want to check if one is strictly equal to 2, console.log. One, let's say, for example, something like that. I want just to return true or false like that. Both sides, yes, it's 2, that should be okay. Correct one of the, okay. Now here I'm trying to, of course, it doesn't make sense to use this way because I know 1 is equal to strictly 1. But now my function here can wait to return this value. And I now, because it will return a value, I can come here when I call it, and I can save the results, the return value in a variable. So const result, it's equal, because I know my function returns something. And now if I log the result, it should give me true. Refresh. And if I log like that, and it's give me true. Notice here, I did not use return here. If I don't have the body of the function and it's one line, I don't need to return. Actually, if I add a return, I will get an error. So I don't need to add return as well if I need to return something from my function, because it's one line, so like that. But if you make it this way, you make the body of the function and you want to return something, you need to use the return like that, because now it's not one line, so we need to return something. And now if I go here, refresh, because it's not one line here, now it's another line, I need to use return. And now it return high, as you can see. Because the function return high is saving this variable and I'm logging it. That should be simple. There is another thing you can do with arrow function, which is if I have one parameter, only one parameter. Again, if I have one parameter and only one parameter, I can also don't put the parentheses. For example, I can say, let's say x like that, x multiplied by x like that, for example. This is considered a function. I can say const my func, it's equal, that's considered a function, by the way, and it's valid function. Now here, this is a parameter, as you can see. If it's only one parameter, I can also ignore the parentheses. Of course, that's bad practice. I don't want you to use it, but you can do that. So even if it's one parameter, but if there is no parameter, you need to add the parentheses. And if it's more than one, you need to add it. So my advice, all the time, try to use the parentheses. It will be better. But know that if you have one parameter, you can ignore it. That's possible. This is valid function. And if I try to do this one here and with 2, and it should return me, of course, I will not see any result because I'm not logging anything. Oh, let's log it actually. Come on, go away. Control X, let's just log it so you can see the result. No, I just want to call my function. That's all I need. Of course, now it should give me 4 if I'm not mistaken. If I refresh, thank you, run, and give me 4, as you can see. So it's a valid function, but I don't think it's good practice because it's only used with one parameter. You can always use the parentheses and it will be better practice, I think. It's totally up to you, huh? So as you can see with arrow function, we can do some stuff we cannot do with other function. And that's why we want to make it perfect for array method, because array method, we need something shorter to the point. Is the idea clear?
Yeah, it's idea clear, but how we can write immediately invoke function in arrow function?
How can we write?
Immediately invoke function.
Immediate invoke function expression.
Yeah, using arrow function.
Okay, let's say this is an arrow function here. Let's try it actually. But in arrow function, it has no name. Let's try to do it. Let's try to do this one. Let's try to do this one. They do not know what HYF-BE is, so I need to explain it later, I suppose. Let's put this one here. Let's put this one here. And let's try to do this one like that. And I need to pass a parameter, of course. So I need to pass 5 here, right?
Yeah.
And now that should work, actually. And actually, let me log this one so we can see the result. Okay. Because I really need to see the result. So log, and I can say just x multiplied by x. Control X, I need to remove this one, of course. Do this one. That should be valid, actually. Yeah, I think it should be valid. Let's see. Refresh. And run. And voila, 25. See?
Yeah. Yeah.
So all you need to know is that's my function. You'll put it inside the parentheses. And then you put the parentheses. Of course, you need to pass a parameter here because we need a parameter.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. For the other, don't worry about immediate IFE. Is that what we call IFE? Immediate invoke function expression. I'll teach you later. Don't worry about that. Okay, error syntax here, define a function. We've seen this one. Parameter, you know what's the parameter. Return, we know what it's doing. Calling a function. Argument, return value, all of that. Default parameter, you know the call stack. I'll explain later next week more. Variable in function, I will explain it later. Unit testing, I think should be clear, all of it, because we spent a lot of time on it. ES module, also not a lot of stuff here, just export and import using function. 7 arrays, function and array method. Oh, let's stop today because it's too much. I complete it tomorrow. I just want to explain one thing again because I see that most of you been confused. I was surprised actually. I thought it's very clear. Guys, I told you when we create a function all the time, we have two steps. First, we need to tell JavaScript, this is a function, and then we need to call it. If we don't call our function will never be executed like that. For example, let's say const my func, which is bad name, but anyway, it's equal to, let's take a parameter a, for example, which also a bad naming. And here, let's log something simple, log a. Now, when I in my debugger, if I click on next, it will come to line 4 here. It will create a variable which is called my function, and it will store the value. It's this function. When the debugger is here, then it will move out. It will not go inside the function. It just come to this one like any other variable. It will create this variable in the scope or in the memory, and then it will give the value this function. That's it, simple. But when I call the function, say my func, hello world like that, for example, or come on, my func, what's happening here, when it reaches this line, it will go back inside the function because I'm executing the function here. When I execute the function, it will go back to inside the function, line 5, and A, it will be hello world, and it will log it. Is the idea clear or not? This is function declaration. This is calling the function. There's huge difference between the two. Yes, no. Yeah. Okay, for now, I think I cover a lot. Tomorrow, I can cover a little bit more. I can cover a little bit, maybe, yeah, just here the call stack and the type of variable inside the function, and then little unit testing should be clear. Maybe a little bit ES6 module, just export and import. I've used it before, but I need to explain it a little bit. Using function should be simple. Arrays, I need to explain a little bit in array, but still we didn't study side effects, so tomorrow we'll study the side effect. Okay. You already know those, so it should be fine. Any question? Any question? Any question? Okay, so what you can do, you can go now to lesson plan, of course, and function array method. We already explained the example. You can do the exercise, all of them, and when you finish, you can just go back in here. I'm expecting for you, you finish a certain primitive and operator control flow function unit testing, you know everything. ES6 module, did anyone reach here ES6 module or not yet?
Not yet.
Unit testing should be fine with you now. I've explained a few times. ES6 module is just export and import. I need to explain it maybe tomorrow. Using function, you know what's function array, you know what's array. Function array method, you know what it is. We're still a little bit here. We are still in week 2. We still have 2 more weeks, so don't worry. We will go through everything in detail. If you have any question, let me know. If you have no question, you can go back to your exercise, and actually it's already there. So let's take a break, 15 minutes, and then take our lunch break. But in the second half, at 1, you need to start working from 1 until 5. No one allowed to go out. Is it quite clear?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but Samir, I have one appointment in 3:30 a.m.
It's,
p.m.
Mhm. Teniendo, for you, it's okay. It's fine. I'm quite sure it's fine with you. We have 16. That means we are missing one, which is Ahmed, right?
Yeah.
It's only Ahmed, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, fine. Diniando, it's fine. Just try to go to your appointment, try to finish it quickly, and when you come back, you can do your exercise.
Yeah. Thank you.
The rest, no one is allowed to leave until from 1 to 5 because we have a lot of exercise to do, huh?
Okay.
Of course, I will be here if you have any question, I can help you. Don't be shy. I will not be mad at you.
Okay.
Just a small note here. Let me open my camera and stop recording because I'm still recording.